You join me then in the calamitous Clio. It's been a long time since I did a video on this car. It's actually been a long time since I sat in it. I think it was January the last time I even sat in it. I don't know, I've just kind of lost a bit of interest, lost a bit of motivation, to be perfectly honest. And I am kind of humming and hawing as to whether I'm going to keep hold of it or not. And my mind isn't fully made up, really, because, of course, the 306 came along and that's taken my attention. It's in much better condition than this, and it's drivable, roadworthy and all that, whereas this isn't, and this is going to require quite a lot of money to get it back on the road. So yeah, I don't know what the future holds for this car, really. I am toying with the idea potentially of getting rid of it, but then I look at it and I think, God, it's awful, and I really want it, and it's mine. So I really don't know. I'm really not sure. Feel free to weigh in the comments and give me advice. I'm rubbish at making decisions anyway, so perhaps if some of you can gang together and convince me to keep hold of it, or gang together and convince me to get rid, then that may sway my opinion. But yeah, not really sure what I'm going to do with this, really. But anyway, while I debate the future of this car in my mind, it hasn't been started since January either, so I'm in the middle of jump starting it with the mighty 306, as you can see there. It is deader than a dodo. We have at least got dashboard activity. Let's try it. No, completely dead still. So I'll leave it for another few minutes. I've left it for a few more minutes, and a good sign was that the cooling fan in the 306 came on to obviously show that that works. So that's a positive sign for that if it's ever caught in some heavy traffic. Let's try it again then. This calamitous Clio. No, there's nothing. I'm getting a little bit bored of this, if I'm honest, and yeah, I think I might just give up and charge that battery via trickle overnight. It's only when I take a detailed look around the Clio that I realise just how absolutely awful this little car is. Awful in a nice way, awful in an endearing way, in a cute way, in a why the bloody hell would you buy that way. But yeah, I've done a detailed look around at this when I bought it, but no harm in doing another one. I know you all enjoy it because it's so terrible. The mirror continues to be non-gravity resistant. I suppose I better just chuck that in the bin. I'll do that later. Probably going to need a whole new unit. According to the previous owner, a little old lady down in Bray, County Wicklow, she said that the local youths like to kick it off and punch it off and pull it off when they've had a few pints coming back from the pub. So it's lived a harsh life in stages, this poor little car. Yeah, the interior reeks of pensioner and does have a feel of a half-arsed rolling restoration project about it, with numerous bits of car stuff on the T-shelf, and a Haynes manual and a multimeter and a roll of tape and all that nonsense and gubbins. Have noticed here that there is a little bit of corrosion, which is actually rather crispy here on the door. That probably does need attention at some stage. And there is the bodge job washer fix for the door pull, because that whole unit there is cracked, as you can see, and it would just flail out with the fabric there if that washer wasn't attached. Let's have a look in the back. Yeah, we've got some, in fact, actually the rear section of this door isn't too bad. Probably just waiting to go wrong. Again, traditional, on this car anyway, Clio issue of the cracked door pull surround, but thankfully the washer's in that one, so that one works absolutely fine. Jump leads, some petrol, and the remnants of a I remember the previous owner told me it was a curry or some kind of dish that she cooked, and a bit of it spilt when she was on the way to a home barbecue, so that's not very nice, really, is it? Let's have, yeah, obviously, as we've seen previously, the roof is rather scoured. It looks as if somebody tried to give it a wash with a piece of heavy grit sandpaper. Almost looks like a map of the world, doesn't it, a bit? That's like Antarctica over there with some sea. This could be like Europe. Maybe I'm mental. Yeah, same issues that plague it everywhere continue at the rear with this bit of tape masking a bit of damage there. The previous owner, this was her first ever car. She learned to drive, I think, in her 50s. So she was rather late to it, which maybe explains why it looks like it's been banger rallied. Got a, if you like, a secondary tea shelf here at the back. You could easily rest a mug or some sandwiches on that. Yeah, that's a rather substantial dent. And I remember her telling me when I came to pick it up that she did actually manage to smash the rear window when she reversed into a scaffolding pole that resulted in that dent. So that's not the original rear window, I don't believe. Yeah, and remnants of a learner sticker, I think. But yeah, there's no dealer sticker or the Renault ELF sticker on the back of this, which would have come with the car when new, so it backs up what she says. Let's have a look inside the boot. Yeah, and I've only just realised it now. I'm missing the little bungee cords which would attach up here. I think. Or would they? No, maybe they wouldn't. Actually, I wonder, did this come with them? It's got the holes drilled in it for them. I just can't see where they'd attach. Anyway, yes, I haven't got those. Boot actually is really rather clean in here. There's a little bit of staining, but that's absolutely fine. Let's have a little look under the boot floor, and it didn't look rusty when I was last in here, and it still isn't rusty, which is really good. Nice and solid. The rear seat does split, 60-40, I believe. I haven't actually put the seats flat down. I haven't had any need to. Got some speakers here, which would be useful if I had a radio, which is underneath that little door segment there, that little flap there, and doesn't exist. So I'll do that again. Reluctant to close. There we go. You don't know what happened here with this thing at the back. It's been like sprayed metallic-y, silvery, bluey, purpley, whatever. Yep, so don't really know what's going on there. Some of that plastic bumper restorer would go really well on these bits, but of course that would make it look good, and it doesn't look good. And I quite like the fact that it looks crap, so I might leave that. We're largely rust-free, I believe. And I'd like to believe. Tyres have got plenty of life left in them. There is just a little bit of corrosion down here that I'm noticing, but it's not awful, as you can see there. Sills look absolutely fine. Plenty of life left in them. Let's have a look in here. We've got all this detritus here. And yeah, of course, almost to complete the full house of knackered door pulls. There we are, but it does work. Just, it's all cracked. I quite like these funky, almost brutalist style window winders. And that works absolutely fine, doesn't it? Right down to the bottom, which is lovely. So they won't need attention. How are we looking in here? We're looking fine. All looking good. Said nobody ever. And let's have a look at the business end. Yes, let's have a look in here. Because the car is suffering from a chronic lack of electricity, there's not a lot I can show you, really. Can I show you? Let me drop my camera. Yep, sorry about that. Drop my camera there. Can I... No, we're not even getting lights on now on the dashboard, so I think I might just turf that battery out and chuck it in the bin and get a new one. Has got an airbag, but the airbag warning light, if the dashboard was working, would be on, which is a NCT failure. We've got our fog lights here, blanking plate, and we've got our little headlight adjust down there, speakers, again, no radio. Let's get in. And yeah, no, I do like this kind of Clio brutalist design. Seems to be a theme in this car, to be mixing angles with curves. And I quite like it. I think it looks really well. Previous owner informed me that somebody tried to break into this car during the COVID period, and this is where the immobiliser is. So they broke off the lens, which is now missing, and tried to fiddle around with it, but the mighty Clio was not defeated, and he went away with just the radio. I say he, it could have been a she, but likely a he. Or went away with the radio front thingy, so there is a radio in there. It just is completely and utterly useless. Central locking, which, because we've got no power, isn't going to work. Clock is still working, I think, because it showed 4 o'clock about 20 odd minutes ago, but it's not the right time by any stretch. But you can, of course, mess around with it and change the time. I do love an analog clock. The Peugeot 306 has got one, and I really like that. Hazards here that don't work, indicators here that don't work. Heated rear window does work, and the fog lights work, and they trip a little alarm to say you've left your lights on. So that's quite of its time, isn't it? Glove box over here has got not the original manual, but it has got a manual. I bought that off eBay a while back. And some other rubbish in there, including the radio head surround. And we've got a cup holder, which needs a clean. Vanity mirror in here, which needs a clean. And another vanity mirror, which needs a clean. Lights, they do work. Well, they did work when I had it linked up to the 306, when I had its umbilical cord in. Yeah, nice handbrake. Just put the foot on the brake in case it does anything, but it won't do, probably because the wheels, I don't think they're seized on, but anyway, yeah, and nice gear change on this thing, actually. It's lovely, and the gear stick gator is in really good nick. Not leather, horrible rubber, but you can't have it all, can you? I would, as I said previously, show you the electric windows, but the power isn't working. There's not a lot to show you, mainly because they don't work particularly well. And then to the front of the car with the oddly mismatched bumper. I have no reason to believe it's not the original bumper, it just has faded strangely. Usually old red cars fade. I haven't seen too many old blue ones fade, but this one certainly has. Need a bit of pressure in that tyre, which is an easy enough fix. Suspension turrets look nice and solid. Under here looks okay. There's a little bit of surface corrosion in places. A little bit of oil that's seeped out over the years. Renault. But apart from that, it looks relatively healthy. Chassis legs all look okay. Again, there's a bit of surface corrosion over that side. You may be able to see, you may not. But nothing that a bit of TLC wouldn't sort. Power steering fluid here, which looks a little bit moist, but I trust is okay. I don't know if it's okay, I'm just going to trust to it. ELF, there we go, ELF. Lubricants and fuel and what have you. Battery there, I'd love to just whip it off, but I would need a socket set to undo some of the bolts to pull it out, so and I haven't got those on me, annoyingly. What have we got under here? You know what, I'm not going to go messing around with it. One thing, though, I do love that's quite quirky is in here, which is the jack, which I doubt has ever been removed, and looks very rusty and is covered in cobwebs. So I'll leave that in there for now. That's quite nice, isn't it? I'm actually gonna, you know what I'll do? I'll come around here. So I'm gonna do this video all in the one take. There's my trolley jack. I'm gonna do it all in the one take because I can't really be bothered doing any editing on it. So I'll drop this bonnet down, use my own shoulder as to take the weight. And the little holder thing is missing, so a cable tie. It's the same situation on the 306, actually. Get in there. Oh, hang on. There we go. Nice period decals here. They're quite nice, aren't they? Another one down there with different oil and coolant recommendations. Well, it's actually really light, and I love it because it opens up that way like an old-fashioned car. So yeah, let's have a little look down there. As I was saying, some surface corrosion down there, but it all looks reasonably straight. I was going to show you where the fuses are. They're under there. I can't be bothered popping it back up now. There's some, the local wildlife obviously like to desecrate on it. I can't really blame them. There's the front. It's a cute little face. With it's doing its bit for the environment and for climate change with some greenness there and round the number plates around as well. Some more damage here, and yeah, some more damage down there too. That tyre's a bit knackered, a bit flat. It's the RN model, which is in the middle of the range. You had RL at the lower end, RN in the middle, and RT, sorry, at the top of the range. But yeah, look, overall, it's not a basket case. So it's missing some trim down here, as you can see there on the rubbing strips. It's been missing for a long time. Not a basket case, but I just wonder, is it the car for me? Am I going to be doing much work in it? Am I the person to turn its fortunes around and get it back on the road? It's going to cost me a lot of money, you see, and it's kind of money I'd rather spend on other stuff and keeping the little 306 on the road. So I don't know. My mind is undecided, but yeah, we'll see what happens from here on in.